thank you again for joining. I thought we might start by talking a little bit about your career, because you've had an interesting path, and you've mixed different sort of areas of sleep science. And so I was keen to understand a bit more if you could talk us through what these areas are, and perhaps maybe starting at the beginning, which sounds appropriate. I know that you started with NASA, which sounds like an interesting way to start your career. So do you mind telling us maybe a bit more about that?
Sure, I was very lucky, I think. I thought I wanted to do something in psychology, so I was very interested in how the mind worked and did a degree in psychology. And then what happened was I did my placement year over at Harvard Medical School, and I was doing a lot of work with their sleep division, and in an area of what we call chronobiology, which is essentially the timing of physiological processes, one of which is sleep. And so I did a lot of sleep studies there. I was known as a circadian technician. So circadian is a very, you guys might know, a very big sleep term. It's one of the ways that our sleep works. And NASA would employ Harvard to do these studies. And the study that I was working on was how to get an astronaut onto a 25-hour day, or rather a 24-hour, 39-minute, 35-second day, which is longer than an Earth day, because actually we can't cope with that, because we would just be perpetually going through jet lag. So it was whether we could get an astronaut onto a different time zone effectively, but one that wasn't naturally innate to us, not something that wasn't genetically built into us. We seem to be very consistent with our planet. So that's how I first got into it. It was very fascinating. And that taught me everything I needed to know about sleep research. And then I came back to England, and I was lucky enough to go and work for Guy's at St Thomas's Hospital, where I learned all about the clinical side of sleep medicine, so diagnosing and treating all the different sleep disorders, so insomnia, narcolepsy, parasomnias, which is all the abnormal activity that happens to us in the night, circadian rhythm disorders, so problems with the timings of your sleep, movement disorders, sleep apnea, everything. And then we learned all the treatments. But what I realized was that as physiologists, we weren't really being taught how to treat people with normal sleep problems. And by normal, I mean common. And that is the ones most associated with insomnia, but sometimes we don't define it that way. And we couldn't help them really, and I didn't understand that. So I went off and did a behavioral sleep medicine master's, and that taught me about a new treatment, which was very behavioral. And I didn't really understand why we weren't doing it. So I created lots of business plans, and I moved to Devon. That's where I am today, on the southwest coast of the UK, because I wanted a different quality of life. Started at a different hospital. At the time, the NHS weren't interested in that particular service, even though we had a huge evidence base and huge efficacy for the treatment for sleep problems in general. So I started my own clinic, which was called Sleepyhead Clinic. And from there, I have been treating lots of different people with insomnia and other sleep disorders. I have continued in the NHS and now have very successful clinics running in the NHS for insomnia. Unfortunately, the waiting lists for those are very long, and we're only allowed to see people in groups, which is frustrating, but we're getting there, and doing quite some other complex sleep clinics as well in all sorts of other sleep areas. And then I also sort of advise the media a lot. So I do a lot of work with the BBC and Channel 4 and lots of different radio stations and American stations, just basically disseminating sleep knowledge in a way that's actually useful to the public. Which is fun, and every now and again I'm a medical legal expert, so I'm doing lots of different things right now, but it's really fun. And I've also recently been doing a lot of sleep research as well.